Hello everyone, we're finally back with a review of Stryfe from the new update 4.3 for Marvel Future Fight.
So Stryfe compared to Jean has a low value because of his high cost and limited usage. He performs poorly in PvP. He's okay in PvE, even though he's the meta for Blast Villain. We predict that when Stryfe has a level 70 and his gear upgrade to 25, he can score around 1.2 million to maybe 1.3 million on that day. But that's basically most of his usage.
Now Stryfe as a character, he has Incapacitation and Fracture, the two new debuffs from this new update. He has Fracture on his first, third and fifth skill, Incapacitation on second, fourth and fifth. His first skill and his fifth skill are both iframes.
So that's the general comment and description of the character. Now we're moving on to the rotation part. So I assume that you checked out my XAB testing footage of Stryfe. The rotation for Stryfe is basically skill 5, and you cancel when the animation of Stryfe dropped to the ground. When his fist attacked the ground, you cut it, and then you cut the skill immediately to 4th and 2. The 4th skill and the 2nd skill can be immediately cut and it's still fine, and then you link it to skill 3. So you proc it on skill 5, 4, 2, and 3. For some time, maybe that the proc lasts a bit too long or the proc start a bit too early, and then the timing will be inappropriate for you to do the full rotation. But then when that happens, then you just change the rotation to simply 4, 2, and 3, because sometimes the 5 takes up too long of a time and attacked the surroundings and proc accidentally.
So this is his performance on PvE content. We are comparing Stryfe to Jean in PvP content because they're both from the Epic Quest. You both need to get 5 T2s in order to unlock them. So if we put him into test in AT and Timeline Battle.
Now in AT we can see that Stryfe basically did nothing and just died immediately. I would suggest that it might be due to the inappropriate obelisk. Maybe for Stryfe, the CDP of Destruction is not a good choice. I use CDP of Destruction because I thought Stryfe can be used in both Alliance Battle and Alliance Tournament, so I want to get the best of both worlds, so I put Destruction on him. But in PvP situations, I think Stryfe need an Invincible, because only 2 of his skills have iframe, and if when you're playing 3 versus 3 auto PvP and he doesn't use the iframe skills, he just dies immediately. For AT, I think Stryfe wouldn't be a good candidate, but maybe CDP of Authority on Stryfe could do some damage.
We didn't really see how Fracture works in the AT attack or defense, because he just gets one-shotted and just dies. So that part we might still need more data in order to understand whether Fracture is a very powerful debuff or not.
So moving on to timeline, we can see that Stryfe has a very inconsistent performance, and one of the biggest problem of him is that he seems to have a bug where he just uses normal attack when his skills has finished cooling down.
He definitely favors his normal attack instead of his first skill and second skill.
Yeah, you can see several times when his first and second skills have finished cooldown and he can use it already, and he's just using the normal attack, which really brings a huge difference, because we're not talking about him using the wrong skill or using the bad skills. He's just not using the skills. So I think that causes a lot of the reason why Stryfe also performs really badly in Timeline Battle. He get one shot really easily, but again, I'm using a damage proc on him, so it might not be fair. In some situations when Stryfe used the correct skills, he can one-shot the opponent as well.
Now taking a look at their stats though, because we're comparing it to Jean, you can see that Jean Grey has a built-in resist of 50% on everything except fire damage, because her passive gives her more fire immunity. But then Stryfe, similar to Cable and other T2 X-Men, he doesn't have any built-in resist, so it affects his survivability.
And also Jean Grey has more iframe. Jean Grey has 3 iframes in her skills, and because obviously Jean can revive, so she has more survivability as well.
To summarize, we want to highlight a few points about Stryfe. He's very inconsistent in PvP content, but he requires high cost to build and gains very low value. Yet he is a forced meta character. He's the only Blast Villain character that can get a decent score on that day.
So Stryfe basically only will dominate in the Blast Villain Extreme Alliance Battle Day. Even though my Obelisk may not be the best for Stryfe in PvP, but I would suggest that even when Stryfe uses CDP of Authority, he will be nowhere nearly as dominant as Jean. And also I want to have a little bit of rant about this update. So in this update, Netmarble introduces 2 new debuffs, Fracture and Incapacitation. And Stryfe is the embodiment of these 2 debuffs. He gives these 2 debuffs in every of his skills, and he's also immune to all of these debuffs. So supposedly, these debuffs should be game-changing, and Stryfe should be game-changing. But then, we do not feel the impact of this debuff, and Stryfe dies too quickly and too easily for these 2 debuffs to shine. So I would say that this is a failed experiment for Netmarble. It's because of, I'm not sure whether it's because of the debuff, or is that Stryfe is just too weak for the debuff to shine? Should they buff the debuff effect, or should they buff Stryfe? It's a question that's debatable. But then, for now, Stryfe is really underwhelming, and I do not recommend ordinary players to rank him up. So this is all I want to say. Thank you.
Goodbye.